Okay, traders, good afternoon. Hope you're all doing well, and welcome to TradeSetup live stream. We'll get underway now. It's a couple of minutes late, but we'll get started. I hope you had a great weekend. Really enjoyed yourself. Unwound a bit. Just checking out the market now. The market's doing okay today, so a bit better than I thought. I don't know exactly what it's up at the moment. I expect it to be fairly flat today and a nothing day, but it's actually popped up. G'day, Paul. How are you, mate? Hope you had a great one over the weekend. How's everyone else going? Just while we're sitting here, we'll just, as per usual, just a bit of housekeeping here. We've got, so anyone that's new, anyone that's jumping in for the first time and watches this a bit later on. Oh, hey, how you going? Cable Digital. I'll call you Mr. Cable. Yep, so anyone just new, you can join us in Twitter, the top left-hand corner. That's our address there. Twitter, I think it's called a Twitter handle. I'm just trying to learn all this stuff. Facebook on the top right, just link into us on Facebook. And the bottom right-hand corner, if you subscribe to us on YouTube, I've mentioned this pretty much most times, you'll get an automatic update every time we do go live. It'll push it straight to your phone. Yeah, here's Davin pretending he's working from home on a holiday up in Queensland. So I know what he's really doing. He's probably halfway through a bottle of red and a pie. He's just rubbish. I'm just talking, just Josh and there, Dav. Lazy Queensland, that's right. What we'll have a bit of a chat about today, we'll talk about not much happened on Friday night in the US. I think it was down slightly, but they were pretty much contained. I think it was 3 out of 11 sectors were down, but one of the big ones, IT, had quite a good run, so they sort of held it up, contained a few of these losses. I think there's a bit of profit taking. Had a great week. You know, the weekly, the week was really good, so I think just a bit of profit taking. Yeah, no one really wants to hold over the weekend. I think if you got some profit sitting on the table, probably sometimes prudent just to take it off, especially in the current market. You don't know what's going to happen over the weekend. So that's looked like what happened on Friday. We pretty much opened and sold opened and closed pretty much at the same level, so not too bad a day overnight for us anyway. And today we did open up relatively flat, up a few points. I think we just kicked on a bit, so let's just get into it now. Let's take a look at the ASX. It did spike up into resistance level. This is the XJO here. You can see that what we're looking at, this movement here, it's just still holding higher lows. Had a bit of a wash out of these little lows, but really just pulled back to the MAs. Touched on the 50 MA and up she goes again. Had a few solid days. Really just making back what we lost over those few days, those few sessions there from, what day was that? 13th of April. So it's looking okay. We'll just see how we react at this 59.50. Just touched up on there today. Still looking fairly positive, and there's nothing to change my view on that. The market's still trending high. MA is up, higher lows. Everything's sort of working to what we would expect in a trendy market, but it looks good. We'll go down to I'll get over to the CFD now and just take a look at that 30-minute chart. You can see where we did push up. What was that? That's the 27th. So that we did had those highs up towards that 59.50 zone. Did back off with some lower lows, but that's really just contractive action over a couple of days. And then we started holding. Once we pushed back up to this 59.34 zone, we did back off into the close on Friday, but that looked quite good. You're expecting a bit of a wash of those lows, just a rinse both sides of the market. Popped straight up through 59.34. So really, technically, what we'd looking to be doing here is holding that high low, potentially in this zone, say somewhere around 59.20 to 25, which is pretty much where it is now. If we can hold a high low, we've still got a bit of room to move. Don't forget, this is the anchor now. You know, for me, I'm looking at that important level at 58.97. If we push down through that, okay, it's over. It's really double top. We've retested a few times up at 59.50 and we're just struggling. But if we're going to punch up and through and head towards that 6,000 mark, I'd suggest we want to be holding that high low just in here on a daily basis or intraday basis, and just get, if the US has a good night overnight, then we could punch up and through that 59.50. Yeah, I think Dav's on to he's not even the wine, he's on his about 34th coffee. Fair bit of work we're getting done. I'm on to my third anyway. So everyone else's views on this on the ASX here? I think it doesn't look too bad. I mean, I just want to see it. If we can push up, hold some high lows today, intraday, and push up into the close, I think that it puts us in good stead for a nice little move tonight. If the US, of course, is going to be positive, but we'll have to see. At the moment, we are. What are we trading on the XJO? We're only up. Well, we're up half a point, so pretty much from where we were on Friday, where we closed on Friday. So it could be just a touch on those highs, maybe a pullback, build another inside higher low, 58.75. Who knows? But it's still looking good. And you can see that market. Actually, I'm going to put my face up in there, don't I? I've prepared quite nicely. Where are we? Let's go there, and let's go. Hey, there we go. No, so I think it's still looking quite good. Did anyone else want to look at just another? We'll go through some of the trades we've got going. Some have kicked on. We've taken a profit on one. I think it's MVF, and today it spiked. So it got us by literally, I think it's 199 stop. It tagged 199, may even tagged 198, but I don't think so. So that was just for a partial, but it's kicked on quite nicely today. So anyone want to look at some indices, just let me know if there's anything like the DAX or the FTSE or just the US. We can recap that before we drill down to some of these stocks. Financials have been under a bit of pressure in the US. Over here, they're sort of bouncing around. What have we got? WBC. They are in Australia. They actually don't look too bad. You can see that. Look at the weekly. It's probably better off looking at the weekly. That price structure, even on WBC, Westpac looks good. What have we got? CBA, still looking quite good. NAB, we're actually not looking too bad, to be honest. So they could drag our market up to that 6,000 zone. We'll just have to see how that plays out. Just want to get that back. Alrighty. So there's a couple of things I want to touch on today. I was looking at a stock today. I'll show you that a bit later, and we'll go through what we've currently got on the run. So there's two really. So just be ready. We've got a few a bit later on. A2M. No, I didn't, Paul. Did you just send that through recently? I don't know if I missed that. Let me have a quick look. Oh yeah, no. Trade on exit on 22nd of Feb. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'll take a look at that too, Paul. No problem. All right. Just remind me in a second. I'll just have a look at that. No problem at all. A2M. Just take notes as I go. Yeah. No, got it. Yeah, a bit of a bugger on that one. There's a few that I'm kicking myself about, and here's what you're seeing here is API, Australian Pharmaceutical. This price action, if you look at the weekly, that looks great. We spoke about this, I think, on Thursday. It just opened up strong again today. It's killing me. That's up to 2.5%, but that was a bit of just a washout. You got tagged, probably a stupid place to put an exit, to be honest. Just below 2, I think it was, just below this little inside low. We got tagged on that by about a cent or so. Bang, up she goes. API, I think that was a full exit. Let me just check. Yep, no, that was a full exit. So that was a bit of a bummer. I was just running the exit a little bit too close, and it looks like A2M Milk was a bit the same way. I don't want Davin to say anything, but that's my biggest problem, and he's mentioned a few times. Too tight, too risk adverse. Anyway, so what have we got here? We got API's going on. BWX looking great. That's really kicked on. You can see that. We'll just have to see how it sort of reacts up at these highs around that 540 mark. We set on, I think we've locked in on that one, so that's good. BWX. Yeah, we've locked in on this. About 6%, so happy with that. We just have to see if we can pull back, build a high low. I'd love to see it just consolidate above 520, just to really, anyone that sort of missed that boat with this little run up here, probably waiting for a deeper, maybe a retest of 5, a deeper pullback. I'd love to see it hold just up above 520, around 530, and just really a few days consolidate and start to head higher. That's going to drag, and I think we'd get a bit of an accelerated move from there, and it could just kick on strong. But that's looking, I think that's looking great. We can probably easily push up through 575 into new highs, and that would be ideal. But we'll see how that plays out. So that's one for us. It's looking positive. CCP, taking a partial on that one. It started off looking all right today. I thought it was going to kick on through this previous high. What we're probably, it's probably a bit small. Let me just click on to something else. We look at CCP. Just want to get a bigger chart for you guys. Probably not that big. We still doing all right on that one. Yeah, credit call. We took a partial on that, not quite as profitable, but just into this zone. You can see that little kick up. Let's get off that. We had that push up here. Did all right for us. Kicked up into that 1850. I was expecting it the way it traded, it was looking good. I was expecting it to kick on strong for the next few days. So really what I wanted to do, what I was aiming to do, put a stop just below the low of the day as a partial exit and just have that target up towards 20, which turned around and tagged us on the stop. But today it was looking like at one stage it was going to pop up through that high. We may get a bit of contraction still. Contraction low like we saw here, build that high low and then go again up towards the highs at 20. We'll just have to see how that goes, but either way it's looking quite nice. I like that one. Sim, this is something we've alerted to a while ago. Actually, I lie. A couple of days ago, it was looking good just when it got through that high, just below 37. 560. Yeah, that was a partial. So it's always good to take a partial, 560. We're looking up towards that high, and that was really just an extension. This move up, that was a target zone. Always happy to take a partial though when prices are starting to get a bit extended and you get a couple of days of just sort of hanging around there, Paul. Purely because when the market's extended, if you're sitting on, I'd rather give it more room when you're not looking for a partial, but that partial I'm always inclined to take that and put it under the, put it in the belt, put it in the bank just to see. And you can see that prices really extended up and they're looking stretched. I know there's no reason to take that off purely because it's stretched, but it's always good just to take a partial, lock it away, and then just give the second half or however you trade, the next portion of your trade, just some room to move. So I'm happy to give that room now and just see how we go. What was the one we were just looking at? Sim, like that. Just want to see a bit of a pullback to build that high low, because at the moment all this was just retesting, that 35.50, even here, retesting and just popped up through 37. So that's the initial warning that we're starting to break up from here on CIMIC. Had some good news today. I just want to see that pullback and build that high low. May or may not get it. This thing could just run without us straight up to 39, but we'll see how that plays out. I'd still prefer just to be working off that high low, which just shows strength of buyers. And this could easily pop up and just drop. So if we get that high low, strength of buying, then we're in. Even if it's just like that, just a couple of days going sideways and then look to take it on to break through the highs. It looks good. The other one we got, MVF, that's the one. Now what do we have at 199? Lo and behold, the low was 199. So that was a partial exit on this one. And today, for some reason, just taken off through the highs. You can see that it was looking like it was going to roll over. It was holding that for quite a few days, just around that 2 mark, 2 to 204. It was looking good. Did like that, but then it's just taken off through the highs today. But just after it washed us out, so probably again a little bit too close on the partial. Would have been nice to have a full position at the moment, and just see if we can took a partial at 210. That was the initial idea, but I thought that could have rolled over and come a bit deeper. So I was happy just to take a partial and potentially re-enter. But so far I say good on that one. That's done. It hasn't done a big lot of volume at the moment. You can see that was a bit of a case of it getting up to overextended levels. So again, happy just to book something on those. S32, not looking the best. It could still hold up above 270. We'll just see how that goes. SSM, got a stop down. I think it was down at 110. May just moved that up sometime today. That price action. I don't want to. So this is where talking about moving it too close. Let me draw this up as a bit of an example. Let me just get it on a bigger chart. I just want to show that last price action so we don't get caught moving this thing. All right. All right, Can you see that there, guys? This is service stream. And what I'm sort of looking at on this one is just that I want to see that hold. And so this could easily, push down. Maybe today, the next couple of days, retest that 114. I'd hate to move it too close and it actually washes out, tags us on that stop again at say 112, 113, thereabouts. If you're going to put it just below this high low, I'd hate to get tagged on that because I think that's really starting to build. If it holds another high low after this little washout up towards 128, and that's taken out these last couple of highs, only by a cent or so. But I'd hate to get tagged on that when this price structure is still looking good. You've got a high low here. Potentially it's going to hold. It's in a zone to hold a high low. It's a nice little zone. So I'd rather leave that at 110. It could be risking a bit more, but just hold that at 110. See if it can build that high low. I mean, if it breaks down and through sort of this support, this rising support here, and starts pushing down to 110, something's not right. I'd rather get out of it. I mean, even if it pops up, you can get a better price. I'm happy just to get out and see how we go. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, Friday, Paul. It got me. Got me at 199, so that's like a knock on the head. Wake up. But anyway, so this one here, Service Street, do like that. If it can hold that zone, it can just spend a couple of days and we start getting some rejection of that, even if it flushes 114 and comes back up, rejects that zone in there and starts holding that high low. I think that's going to take us, I'd expect to see prices go up through, I was at 127, 128, but we'll see how that plays out. So I do like that one. That's why I'm inclined not to move my, the exit zone up below 114, just to see how that goes. What else have we got? I'm just trying to remember. I think that's about it. We spoke about most of them. So, Paul, we'll look at A2M. So this is one. Yeah, a bummer. Let me just see what happened on this one. Just have to get the charts up. Alrighty, here we go. So we were, what date is that? So this is the last, if you can see that, guys. CSR will do, Paul, no problem. Sorry, Dav, just saw your lovely comment then. I got a thick head. Takes a while to get through. Where was I? Oh, now I'm just getting myself confused against South 32. We'll look at that as well. So you can see the ATO that Paul just mentioned over the weekend. We can see that was looking good. That's A2 milk, yeah. That was looking good. Getting extended up here, obviously. We're looking for a partial exit. I think we got done on the partial exit at 235. Let me just see the last stats we got on that. First, got out on the 2nd, so 22nd of Feb, 221. It's got a partial at 235. So I must say, okay, from here it's just gone, taking us out at the partial, 235, and then we got stopped out of the full at 225, 221. Must have gapped down. So that was here, I think. No, sorry, it was here. So it opened up, stopped us out at that partial and just keep going down. 221, yeah, so it was on this day here we got stopped out of that other one, the second half, and then lo and behold, that was a low, higher low built, went up. To be honest, that was a good little entry, a re-entry. Would have been a nice little re-entry just in here. Missed it. Again, trying to look at too many things at one time, but that's, and you can see, if we quickly draw that up, the reason why there's some price action that I like, and it's always worth taking note when you're looking at price action. We've had this move up here, pull back, basically build a higher low in here, and we've held these high lows and we've got this accelerated move. So it was right down from just above 2, but it just took out those highs, and you can see that effort there where it actually opened above the highs to wash out. It would have dragged in a few buys. dragged them in with that open above that previous high, with a major high anyway. And then it proceeded to pull, have a deep correction back, and it's pretty much, and you can see that it's getting, and this is what we talk about the MAs, the MAs are starting to push apart, so it's going into expansion, but it's a fair distance away from those MAs, so that's why, you got this deep correction. So if you're looking at an entry just on a buy through here, still great, still holding the structure. It's come back into a nice little buy zone. It's touched down here. You can see that's a little minor high low just in here. Pop back up, just taking out. These are all minor levels, don't forget, but this is all something you add together for the major picture, and you're looking for that accelerated move back in. So if you took it just through that, was it 234 thereabouts, through that high, it's a nice leg up that you had. You don't know that's going to happen, but there's a heads up when you get that. We just draw that break there. It's a bit of a heads up to what could be coming, especially when you wash it out. You still hold the price structure, and that's what you'd like to see. So did miss that, but that was a bummer, Paul. You're right. But it looks good. It's still, I'm thinking it's starting and spent so much time being in that over. This is a good example. Don't not buy something that's in overbought territory. It can stay overbought for quite a while, and that price structure is ideally what's the thing that's telling you to buy or get out. So you're just going by price structure. I'm just trying to add up what is happening in the past and what potentially could be happening going forward. Now, we've gone over that. MVF, we did that. CSR, we'll have a look. We'll go to South 32, but it's one that's actually on the list. Oh, that doesn't like me, does it? Come on. All right, let's just forget about you if you can't come up there. Yeah, this one will draw it up again. So this is a little alert we've got going. Still looks good. It's still holding. I'm not too concerned with this, although it's coming close to the level. You can see it's had a good pullback here. The one thing that's a bit of an issue, we didn't quite get up to that high at 305. So potentially we've got a major lower high here. We just have to keep, and that's why I'm pretty sure we've got our exit just below there, but I'll check just to be on the safe side before I carry on. $265. So okay. So we've got our exit zone just around 265, which is just below this this low here. So I'd figure if it gets down through that low, you're probably going to get a deeper correction. We've got sort of a major, that push up there starting to fail. From here up, it's starting to fail. You got that lower high. It could easily just contract. Push down. That's just up at 265, 285. We could just do a bit of this, holding some minors, and then but still continue to hold those high lows somewhere like that, and then just break up and out of punch back up through 285 and on we go. Then if you get this type of price action, you'd expect it to push up through 305 into new highs. So it's still looking okay. It's still holding. It's just that you've got to add up. If you're going to run a wide stop on this, I think you're risking too much. Say, for example, if you've got this type of price action, it's pushed up, good leg up, contracted back. So after that contractive move, that type of price action with some lower highs, push down, and you start taking out these lower highs up here with a push back up to the highs around 3, and we just fall short. That's not a strong price action of what we just mentioned before on the A2M, where it punches through the highs, pulls back into the zone, builds the high low, and then goes again. This could be sort of the reverse. We just got to keep an eye on that. That's all. Does that make sense there, Neil? And that's why I would prefer, rather than have your wide, you can, if you want, you can run a wide stop on that, a wide exit, say below 240, but to me that price action is not suggesting that if that plays out and it comes, instead of doing this, it comes straight down, I think you're going to start, you're getting that major rollover. So this is a minor lower high, comparison to this move up, lower high, but in comparison to this big move up, pull back, push back up, retest that lower high is a bit of a heads up if we break below that, which is that level 270, say thereabouts. If we break below that, that's a lower high on a major scale, and that could really lead to taking out. You're going to be attacking, I'd say, 240 and a major correction. But we'll see how that goes. That's my favourite saying, if you haven't noticed. We'll see how it goes. Anyway. CSR. Whoa. It looks good, Paul. I don't think anyone's going to doubt that. What are you doing with this one here, Paul? Can I ask? Are you happy? If you're not happy to tell, that looks great. What have I done with that one? Don't tell me I've missed it too. Just got to go back and check. I'll start doing these alerts. Oh yeah, I did, didn't I? So we alerted to this somewhere around 4:55. Okay, so it was in here. We alerted it just in here. All right, so this is another kick myself in the knock McFly. You can see that's where we alerted, which was just this level as we had this little push up here. So that price action looks really nice. Yeah, but to be honest, Paul, that price action looks great, but you're on the flip side. You're not buying in the unknown anymore. So if you're buying in here, it's more of the unknown because you've got this high at 470 to contend with. So when you get this type of price action, that's awesome. If we just draw that up. So that's it there. I mean, it depends on, again, everything depends on your time frame. Actually, that's just before we talk it up too much. I guess is just to go back and look what it's showing us. So that's the monthly. All right, it's getting extended on the monthly too, and it's coming into this, if you can see way back here, 5 to 525, 550. You can see that's that lower high just in there on the monthly chart. I know this is a long time frame, but technical analysts, technical chartists, whatever, are going to be looking at that zone in there. And probably if you've held it from down at 3, below 3, somewhere you bought it in here, you know you're going to be pushing up to here. You expect some sort of reaction. Whether it's a reaction lower, buying that, and then building at high low, and then just punching up and through, and then you're starting another, because then you don't really have too much to worry about. Really, you got to maybe up to 620.25, which is this little high in here. Sorry, lower high just in here. But then again, see how we're starting to get a bit far away from the MAs. I mean, this is not a hard and fast rule, but there's just these things add up to the probability of the trade working out in our favour. So go down to the weekly just to see how it's playing out. You can see that zone a bit clearer just in here. It's coming into that zone now, so it's getting it a bit extended. And then, okay, the monthly's getting a bit overbought. The weekly's getting a bit overbought up here. I'm guessing, okay, the daily. So all of them, for me, are getting a bit overbought just up at this zone. And you can see a couple of good strong days. To buy here, you probably, the back of your mind again, if you're holding that, not, this could be just me, or it could be, we all have different mindsets, we all have a different way we trade. But for me, if I was holding it in here and I knew that we were coming up into that resistance zone, I'd be looking at a partial at the very least, up there, because I'll be sitting on a handy little profit. Because there's nothing to stop me if it keeps going. I've still got half. If it does have that pullback and builds another high low, I can load back up again and go back to a full position. There's no worry about that now. So it's all about risk management, and that's, like I said, that's all we're trying to do. Buying it up here from a risk management point of view, it's fairly risky because you're probably going to get people that have held it in here. Even they bought it on that break of 470, there's more than likely going to be a bit of profit taking. Does that make sense there? So from here, I'd honestly just be looking for maybe a bit of a pullback, and you want to see this price action with higher lows holding buys. You want someone else to do the heavy lifting or someone else to do the work in the way of buying into it, supporting the price so you can see it. What am I trying to say? So you don't want to be the one buying it and trying to hold it up. You want everyone else to do that, and you want them to prove to you that they're committed or they're happy to buy it with the higher lows, and then you jump in to make your trade as safe as possible. You want someone else to take more risk on board for you to be less risky. I hope that makes sense. CBA, let's take a look. Does that little make sense, guys? I guess to everyone, not just Paul, but everyone who's trading. You want everyone else to be the loser and you to be the winner, in essence. Sounds nasty, but hey, that's the way it is. Yeah. It's got a message, something popped up about SAS, which is, we'll have to see what comes out about that. So SAS is another one we've got. was looking pretty good, but they've just come out with a placement off. I don't know what it is just yet. If anyone knows, it might have just popped out, but we'll see. What are we looking at? Commonwealth Bank. That's what I love this price structure, but more down here off the weekly. You can see that support zone. It was around the $70 even. Washed out a couple of times. Tried to go again with this little tail. Was fully rejected, and it took out those highs. That's when your head's up. Let's start getting active. Go down to your lower time frame, your daily charts, see what's going on. Big extension up into this high through 85, 86, say. And this is nice price action. It's on the weekly though. Nice price action, holding the higher lows, still holding higher lows, still looking good. But this is not anything significant for me, these sorts of moves. It could start extending. We'll just have to see. It's coming up into another resistance zone around the 88. Is it 87, 88? Just pushing up in this lower high. It could be meaningless, but you probably think there's going to be a bit of a reaction off there. 19 cents. That's a bit of a bugger. Oh well. 19 cents on SAS. It looks like the capital raising's out, so that's probably going to open down. We'll get stopped out on that one. But we'll see. Hopefully it's looking good. SAS have been kicking goals. Doing really well. I mean, the capital raising is quite positive. They're going to do something with the funds. See how that plays out. I just don't like losing, if anyone hasn't noticed. I take it personally. So that looks good, Paul. Again, it's starting. You can see these high lows. It hasn't really shown acceleration just yet. It could just accelerate, and what it could do is just hold these. This is great price action. It's up into a resistance zone, but there's nothing to say it can't accelerate and just bang through it and push up to 90 and then have a bit of a pullback and just take some of the heat out of the market. So it's definitely something just to keep an eye on. But that looks nice. And that's that shallow retracement that we've mentioned a few times after a good solid move up. Anyone who's watching it will probably go, okay, we'll have a nice correction back down to 77. They're sitting there just holding. And these higher lows holding is a heads up that that's not going to happen. So you'd want to get a little entry in here, but if you don't, people could still be sitting there waiting for that pullback, and just they start getting a bit antsy and having to chase that market back up again. And that's where that's the theory behind these accelerated moves higher anyway. Yeah, it's still got to expand, and it's still starting to build. Whether it expands straight up and through, we'll just have to see how it goes. This actually has still got the potential, if we don't get a reaction off here, just to go bang straight up to 95. I mean, there's nothing to say. Monthlies, this is the things I always look at. Monthlies getting a bit extended up here. Weekly's starting to look a bit extended, but again, and the daily's getting a bit extended up here. Could just be a minor pullback, drag in some more buys, and then bang up we go. There was one, Clement, GWA. Yeah, that's going. This is this longer term price action. This here is what we're looking at. So to me, you're going to have a major level around that 380 mark. We're probably going to see that up towards 380. So if we can just draw that up, it could, even if it's just range trading, if we're just pure and simply, let's get rid of that. Pure and simply going to range trade in here. Let's just draw. Then we've got a couple of big levels, big massive levels. So really it's just a matter of sort of oscillating between those two levels. Major support 175, major resistance up towards 380. So 380 is potentially the target. We've had this type of price action. Held a high low, that's punched up and through out of that contraction off the support zone. Held higher lows. Did the same type of thing just in here. Contracted lower, held a little minor higher low, and that's led to a bit of an extended move up. What do we got? This is a weekly chart. So just remember all that. If we go back down to a daily, so we're sort of in expansion at the moment, and we're working our way potentially up to 380. We are getting a bit extended up here, but again, something you just got to wait. Just got to let the price action tell you what to do. The daily move, just remember we're sort of looking towards 380 now at the moment. You can see how the price is just oscillating around overbought. and probably if you started looking at it, it was in here, it was overbought. If you just held on and just sit there, go, I'll wait till it goes in oversold territory, you've missed out on this type of price action. So there's times when you just got to add up the balance of probabilities, I guess. With that move through there, I think if you bought it just through there, it was quite nice because you got that extended move up. Just break out of that contraction. You're holding a major level in context of what it's doing on that weekly too. That's looking quite good. Punch up through 295 with your target up towards that 380 zone. Whether it just has a deep correction, whips you out, but for me, my risk would be down just below this 280 zone if you bought it in here. Otherwise, if you've got a little entry in here off a higher low, yeah, it's still quite handy, even if it was just through that 277 thereabouts. But that's definitely on the move and looking good. Does that help out there, Clement? So that's expanding high. There's nothing on the daily to say get out. Again, wouldn't get in. I'll be wanting to see that if that's the extended move up, maybe a bit of a washout and then start to hold a little higher low, again, like it has repeatedly in the past. And even if you're front running that little break here by buying it through that, like that type of price action, what I ideally like to see, pretty much identical to what we just saw here. And that's extended the price up and through resistance, got through highs. It's all looking good. ALU. ALU. No, that's looking good. Sorry. So there's quite a few of these, quite a few stocks that actually are hovering around that overbought territory, where if you're just using stochastics, if you're trying to trade off oscillations, swing highs, swing lows, whatever, they could keep you out, but they're actually running and they're doing well. I mean, here's a perfect example. If you can look, it's up here. It's got a bit extended. Okay, we're extended to the upside, a bit overbought. Actually, that's when we bought it. We had it somewhere in here, and I was expecting it to roll over here. It's got sold off, and then it came out with a good announcement. Bang, up she goes. We did actually really nicely on that one. Anyway, that was back in 2016, about August. So if we're looking at this now, the good thing is, on what I like, hope we can see that all right, guys. Okay, we've had that wash out, and after that strong move up, again, you'd expect some profit taking, you expect something, but you just don't know where the price is going to go. So when you get this, you get that lower high. From here, even here, you don't know where it's going to go. You don't just, honestly, not telling anyone what to do, but just wait for your price setup. Because if you jumped in here, you thought that's overbought, you could be, if you're just holding it, then you may have got a bit nervous, washed out of this, just through that break of that low here. What I like here is that, if you can see, is just this price action through here. See that consolidation after this strong move out, and that's washed out that low. I think that looks quite good. If you just go and line all that up, that there is built, spent quite a few days just consolidating around there. We've touched down on, just washed out, even when it came out with that good announcement, washed out all these buyers that bought it and chased it up here. They've all been put back on the sidelines, and it's more fuel for a potential move higher. And we've just seen the last few days, it's just broken potentially out of that contraction. So I've got no qualms with this, especially when you get that little rush higher, wash out the lows, then start to consolidate. If that was weak, you'd expect this, it was about 770 zone to hold, and price to just keep selling off, and lower highs, lower lows, on we go, until it finds a bit of a bid, potentially right down at 6. That didn't play out. It just held and consolidated through there. Gave it a bit of a go. You can see this green candle as a tail, pushed down and rejected. So that's a nice little heads up. And then this is all on a minor scale. If we just go and I want to get it closer so it's a bit easier to see. Are these charts a bit hard to see, guys? Just let me know. That's that move there. Just got to draw. So that's just that wash out of that low with this, bang straight down. But then we had a day, I think it was this day here, it actually rejected the lows. I think there's meant to be a wick on that day. Don't know why it hasn't come up. Yep, Oh no, it's the day after. So this one here is meant to be a little bit of a wick. I don't know where it got down to, but just pretend that's a wick there anyway. So that was rejection just after it washed out those lows. Then you got these minor inside high lows. Good, again, a good heads up that this is potentially going to break out of that contraction through here, and it did. If you bought it just through 8, you know where your risk is now. I mean, that's if you did it through there. That was a bit, and the only thing with this trade here, it's extended, so it would have been a tougher one to take, but you got small risk. But after this type of price action here and here, you know, it's quite a good trade, and it's spent a lot of time washing out what's built up in the past, so it still looks quite nice. Does that make sense there, John, or do you agree, disagree? Don't forget I can ban you from here if you disagree. Oh, okay. That's something I'm just going to have to quickly think about just to see if I can actually... I think as soon as I minimise... There might be some way on... This system's called Spark, whether I can actually... And Devin might even know on Spark whether I can change the font size there. But I'll have a look at it for next time there, Paul. There was something I was going to have a quick look at. And I found it interesting. And it's a good little topic to chat about. Cromwell, CMW. I actually didn't mind this price structure, but I just wanted to point something out. So I initially glanced at this day chart. I thought, oh look, that doesn't look too bad. You can see, stochastic's in a good spot. It's got a little minor high low here. It's just taken out the high. It's this little punch up through this high, which I was going, it sort of made me think twice. And I think this is what the beauty is of just going back a chart to get more data to see if the weekly supports your view or doesn't. Because if it doesn't support your view, then it's worthwhile just rethinking what, you always, like we probably mentioned quite a few times, always think of both sides of the market. Is this a sell or is it a buy or is it just consolidating? That's a third side, but you know what I'm saying? If you're looking at it from a buying point of view, sometimes you get pretty much, you got blinkers on, but if you can just go, look, is that a potential sell setup? And if you can actually see something, then it's probably best just to stand aside. But if you can't, you look at it from the sell point of view, you go, no, that actually still looks quite good. Then you know you're probably on the right track. I always like to go back a view, and just, for me, just by looking at a bit more data on the weekly, this could potentially be a bit of a sell. So I was a bit hesitant on saying to buy it, and there's a few little reasons why. And like I said, if in doubt, stay out. Don't know why I'm giggling on that, but anyway. So you can see through here. We don't know how this is going to add up just here. If that's, so you've got that push up here, pull back, consolidate through here, another push up into new highs. So we're just adding up what's going on. Push up into new highs. What I didn't like was this move all the way back down to that support zone through 92.5. So this could be a flush of those highs, or it may not be, and just contraction on a longer term basis. I mean, if that's a flush of those highs, and really with this move up here, we should have started attacking back up towards those highs at $1.20 if the market was positive. Instead, we found a bit of an offer, found some sellers starting to take control around that 112.5, and when we contracted, we pushed back up to there. I'm starting to throw around words willy-nilly. We pushed back up to 112, then we sold straight down through that support zone there. So here we've got a bit of a reaction. You can see you got 1, 2 little moves up, and that's where I'm looking at all this sort of evidence going, oh, hang on a second. Are we a seller or are we a buy? Or are we starting to just look to build that lower high in here around the dollar? Don't forget this is on a weekly, so it could take some time to play out. I hope everyone can see what I'm talking about. So that's that big washout, strong move down, bit of contraction. You got 1, 2 moves, 2 sort of legs up, contracting, and that's not a strong sign, because if it's a strong market, it should go a bit harder and faster. and then a shallow move and then bang up. But instead we've got that little pop back up in relation to this leg down. Minor pullback, was starting to get bought up, had another go, and then we just flushed out those lows. And it was really on this green candle, which did get held up. It was about 95. Has held up on the weekly. But if we just drill down again, I'm pretty sure you can probably see that. Cromwell at CMW. That's CMW just in there. I didn't like this sort of move, this price action. So just remembering what we were talking about on the weekly now. So I've gone, initially what I looked at was here, going, oh, it doesn't look too bad for a break up through 98. Going, okay, let's go, because it's got some higher lows holding. That looks quite good. Attacking up towards here. This could be a bit of a sucker trade. It could just suck us in and then, spit us back out if we get buy and push up through 98. And don't forget, it just happened previously as well. This could have been the same type of trade. You push down, pop back up. Should have gone down if we're negative from here. Didn't. Popped up through those highs. So we could have entered in here. And then it just didn't go on with it. So it's not showing us the strength. That's not showing the strength which I would have expected from a potential buy. Did pull back, building that high low around 96.5, 97. And then it's going again. So this could just suck us in again. It could break up through the highs, only up a cent or so, half a cent to a cent, and then drop off from there. I don't like this sort of contraction higher in context of what's happened. With this move down, we're going up here. We've just broken through the lows, so that's sort of a bit of a heads up just in here of what could potentially happen on the short side. So that's enough to probably go. People go, oh, that's just a washout. We're going to go higher. But in context of what's going on here, we're starting to show signs in this zone here of just struggling to go higher. We can't, which means we're probably not going to get up to 102 or 102.5, which means we're going to struggle, which means it could be a short if it breaks down through, say, 95. For me, for the long side, I'd ideally want to see it get up through 102.5 and then look for the higher low to go. So I just thought I'd bring that up because I was initially looking at that as a potential buy and then went back to the week, flicked it over to, that could look like a sell as a potential short. So it just made me reassess what's happening on the daily from a short perspective. And honestly, there's a bit of an argument for both sides. So if that's the case, I'd rather step aside. Does that make sense there, guys? Or not at all? I thought it'd be handy just to show you what we're looking at there. There's a couple of others that A2M, we've done that. CMW. Is there... Yeah, so the way I was looking at this one is as a potential trap. People who are buying it in here, it could just pop up and then bang, lo and behold. So if I can draw that up, just pops up through. Pullback wouldn't concern people too much, but then you get that lower high on a minor scale. It's going to be a lower high in comparison to this one here, which it shouldn't be in a positive market. And then if we get that type of move there, then I think that we could just be setting up a bit of a trap for some buys, and then we roll over and maybe retest down here. Who knows? We don't know, but it's too many signals either side of the market for me. All right, is there anything else you want to look at? Before I babble on too much, does anyone want to look at some other indices? Just going through where we're at the moment. So here's SAS. That's going to be a bugger because that'll probably get us out if it opens down at 19. I think we've got it at 20. We might just have to reassess that one, see how it goes. But if it can hold up above that 22 and buy a step in, but we'll just see. Anything else, guys? Before we look at it knocking it on the head there. Oh, there's one that I thought could be of interest to people. HUB hub. Now it's quite low. I mean, I wouldn't say jump in 21 because it's quite thin. Doesn't trade as much. So there's someone out there that probably wouldn't bother, but it could be of interest to a few people. I kind of like that price action. Now that's on the daily. We can go back to the weekly. It doesn't mean much because it's been up here, bang. Don't know what happened there, whether it's been taken over or something's happened. But even on the weekly, that looks quite good. It's worked its way up off that dollar mark, held a high low, pushed back up again to $6. Looks like it's potentially holding a high low. Go back down to the daily again. So that's that move up, pull back. See the way it trades. It's always interesting to see how each share trades. So that's the expansion higher. We've got contraction through here. Fairly shallow. Did hold that high low in here for a while. A bit of a push up. Basically retested, just washed out these little minor highs. Popped back down, washed out the lows, retested the lows, and then bang, off she goes. Probably in here would have been a nice area to buy it. And it looks like we could potentially be setting up for a move higher. You can see, I'll just draw that up on the daily. That's probably a bit better, isn't it? But I think there's potential in this one. FTSE. All right, we'll have a look at the FTSE and FMG, and then we'll probably knock it over there. Where are we? So the reason why I don't mind this one is, okay, that's, again, always a bit of a... Oh, there you go. I can use that arrow. A bit of a pause. A thought. What am I trying to say? Just a time to pause and just rethink it, potentially, because it's getting a bit extended up here. And you can see it's just washed out those highs at 490 with this little rejection there. But still, green day. We're up here, and it could just reject into the close and finish back below 490. We'll have to see. But I think that move, what I do like is the fact that it's contracted lower. We pushed down to here, so we've got that level around that 430 mark. Then it's held up through 440, which is a higher low. And that 440, it touched a couple of times here, then it's just expanded at a contraction. So whether we're just going to consolidate a bit more, we wash out there, pull back to build that higher low, more of a major high low. But we can see that price action. It's not punching through the highs very convincingly. So it could just go up from here, who knows? But I'd like to see it pull back, say around 470, a bit of maybe a wash out of those highs, maybe a pullback, something like this, and then start to find a bit of a bid again and hold some minor higher lows, and then potentially off he goes. We'll see how we go. But that's something, like I said, it's quite thin. Could pick up steam when it starts going, when it starts accelerating. But it's something where I think it's going from contraction, potentially just consolidating through here, but it's starting to show some good signs of going into expansion and to move higher. But the reason why we haven't alerted this, it's actually quite thin. I've just kept an eye on it because I saw it a while ago. Thought it worth talking about. Now the FTSE. I've got to find the code, don't I? I know I've got it. FTSE, well that was easy. So firstly, it's worth looking at the weekly on this. The price action is not too bad on that weekly. You can see they get a couple of sell-offs and they get bought up, lower highs, and then you got that high low just in here, which led to a nice move up through the highs at 7,000. That's on a weekly basis. It's got a monthly, I haven't really looked at this for a while. Yeah, 7,000 was a key level. It's punched up through there, 2015. That's a long time ago. I forget it was a monthly. Big rejection, built that major high low. I know it's quite a wide range, but on a purely from a technical basis, that high low, it should extend us up through. It looks like, you're finding a bid safe through 48. And this was, after the GFC, so big GFC sell-off, double bottom, essentially a double bottom through here, push up, an inside bid, you'd call it an inside bid zone through 48, double bottom there, higher low. So if that's a key level, which takes us from 48 up to around 7,000, what's that, 2,200, and if you take the bottom from about here, should be 7,800, somewhere up around here. Potential target, so that's your leg up, from a key level up to your 7,000 mark, say. If that's a pullback zone, we've washed out a few of these higher lows, pullback, we got rejected, quite a few candles there, they got a little higher low, so somewhere through here, say 5,800 even. We'll stick with 56. 2,200 points is, yeah, 7.8 to 8,000. So if that's our target, there's quite a potential, some legs in that. But sorry, just back to the weekly. The weekly, your key levels around that 67. So just remember, we've done work on the monthly chart. So your key level on this one, on the weekly. So I'm just going from chart to chart just so we can sort of pick out those key levels. So don't forget, we've got a key level right down here. Was it 5,600 for a weekly? Potentially your next key level on the... So that was a monthly key level. What am I talking about? Now I'm getting myself confused. See how easy it is? We've got a key level at 6,700 on the weekly. So you got your little high low, and you can see how it just goes. Bang, bang, lower high, flushes people out, finds a bid somewhere. In conjunction to what's happened, it's built that high low. That's a nice move. And you can see the response was a good strong move up. Spent time banging around here, but still held a high low. That was your key level through at 67, and that led to that move up. It's still going at the moment. We've got more of a daily zone here. If that holds up on a daily, we still, or potentially that's another high low on a weekly basis. So we're just trying to find if that's going to be the case. So now we're going to drill down to the weekly. So maybe another important level around that 7,100. If we just go down to the daily charts. And was that Friday? Oh no, sorry, that was a couple of days ago. So looking at the daily, I think if it breaks through 71, it could wash it out, flush it out. But you'd ideally want to see that hold. I'll get it here. Bit of a nice little... So it's looking good. So we've got that, what was it, 66? Say through here. Nice little support zone through there, yep. And then we've got another potential 71, but it's got to hold. We've got to see evidence of a high low. At the moment, we're not. It still could be building. We just want to see that now. And ideally, I think if we can get that a couple of days rejection above 7,100, I think that could have legs and then potentially pushes up through 73. I think it's 73 even. This little lower high. That means we've got our high low. We've got a major high low at 71. That's a high low in conjunction this contraction. Conjunction to contraction. Does that make sense there, guys? If we get that high low in here, it's going to sort of repeat what we've seen in the past. High low leads to a nice little leg up, and that should bust up and through, you'd expect through 73, through these highs at 74, and then on through these highs and go into new high territory, 74.50, say. So it has potential. Now, if this just keeps heading south, after that good strong day up, we found that that's going to be a lower high. It starts targeting 71 and we start washing it out. It'd be interesting to see how it goes from there. But then if I was looking to trade it, I'd just be holding off. I'd just be looking at it because we've got that new high. It just, for whatever reason, it can't sustain that move. We're getting a bit of heavy selling in here, which heavy selling's fair enough. That's fine. But you want to find a nice little level to be able to potentially work off. So if you're going to trade that, you'd probably be, I don't know how you trade the intraday, daily, or you're just looking for the market to be on the rise to buy into some UK stocks. I'd just be sitting there watching it just at the moment, just at this present time. Because it's still daily, it's heading lower, but is it going to be a high low, or is that seller's going to take charge and really push it down? Last one, we'll go over FMG. FMG. Well, straight away, that doesn't look good. You can see that the MA is expanding to the downside. I think we've alerted to this before as a potential sell. Let's get back up. Yeah, you can see that. Well, let's just draw it up. What we were looking at, actually, go away, go away. Let me just get the chart up. I'm probably easier. Okay, so this is a weekly chart we shot out a while ago. So this is a weekly chart. We saw, you can see that, major wash out of those highs, double top, major double top. So if that was the case, and that was going to put pressure on the market and all the buyers, and you can see it's had a good strong move up, say from below say $1.50. That move up there, strong, reacted off the previous high. It did, come into the zone, did wash it out. So what are we looking for? If you were looking to buy it, you'd have to be a bit concerned because it's coming out to a zone where we'll probably get a reaction off there, and that's a weekly zone. So if you go back down to the daily, that probably coincided with that little rally support. I'll get that up. Charts. So there. So I think at that stage, if I just get the date, so 13th of March. Oh, so it was somewhere around, I think it was just in here. It was the 13th of March. Okay. So it was that green candle. So I actually did break. So at that stage, you've got that break just down here. To be a buyer, I'd be a bit concerned. I think we've got the lower highs taking control. And that's your initial sign with that push down to 6 that something's not right on FMG. And we've got that. We've got the lower high in play here. Okay, the market gave it a bit of a shot. And if you're holding a long position from somewhere in here and you got this, you'd be, okay, what's going on? It could be completely wrong. And then we get that little washout and pop through support where it should have picked up, say, 625, should have held up 625 and potentially gone up through the highs. But the fact that it's opened down, it's finished on its low one day, next day it opened down at 6. Green candle, yeah. But if I was buying it in here, I'd be heads up. Okay, it's popped back up, and then if it starts rolling over, you think lower high, straight away thinking protect yourself, protect your gains. Maybe with a push, put your stop just below that 6 mark, which eventually got stopped out. But really, just got to be concerned if you're long in here, or if you're long up here, you've got to be really concerned. You'd have to be running a tight stop, I would have thought anyway. But you can see that remember the weekly chart up here was a double top, a major double top. So if that couldn't go on with it, this little sign here with a major double top, I thought would have really led you to some to be concerned. So where to from here? So now it's a clear cut now. We're contracting lower, but how low? You really got to sit back and say, well, okay, where are we heading to? We don't know. There's a potential for this just to bust down through 5, because you've got a whole range of buyers through here. Don't forget this move up here. It started 2016 essentially, a whole year just grinding higher. So you've got to be concerned if you're a buyer. There's these buyers in here. Okay, they're either out or they're under pressure, and they're really concerned. Now, if this breaks through 5, you might find there's a whole lot here. Just go, look, I don't want to take any more heat. I'm putting my exit below 5. I shouldn't have probably held it below with that move through 6. But people do it. Just remember. Then we've got these buyers that are bought in here going, oh, look, I'm close to not getting a break-even trade anymore. I'm just giving up all these profits. They could potentially be putting a sell exit under 5. So there could be any number. And even these people up in here that saw this, take out the highs. They may have looked at a weekly chart, go, oh, that's a double top. What am I going to do from here? I'm sitting on profit still. I don't want to give up any more profits. So that could easily just, push down through 5. It could just wash it out and then bounce back. For me, for any long trade, if that's what we got, just this is what we're seeing here, even if we get that washout, I still want to see, that's sort of for me, there's that key level through 550. I want to see that break and then start looking for that high. Well, that wasn't very good. Looking for that high low from there if I wanted to buy it, because there's been enough buys washed out of the market here, enough heat taken out of the market for this to potentially be at least a play back at those highs at 725. Then you've got a 2, 3, 4 to 1 trade there. Fine, that's great. But until we get that, so if this starts to hold at 5 and we get a pop up through 550, great. Without getting the washout, that's great. Then you're still looking for that high low. So either way, I think your sort of key minor levels at 550 at the moment. If you're going to take a stab at the at a long position. But I think it still could just pop back up, find that it starts, further selling at 6, again, of these buyers, and then it starts to roll over. We'll just have to see how it plays out. So if you look at the weekly, let's just go back to the weekly. Yeah, so that's your initial reaction down, really, on a weekly basis. We could pop back up So we could get up to 625, that sort of zone, and build a major lower high, which assume, if that's the case, and it's the same to this daily reaction after you bust down to 6, pop back out, build a lower high, but it's on a weekly basis. Does that make sense here, guys? So you just stab back up, brings in a bit of buying, but then you get these sellers that if it starts stalling, they're going to go, look, I'm just getting out. I've had a couple of chances now to lock in some gains. I don't want to give up too much more. And then they may start to sell it in. Then you would expect that push through 5 and then a much deeper correction. But again, just looking at that weekly, we're in a nice little zone there potentially. So that weekly could support some buying, but it's got to hold up here. Does that make sense? What do you reckon of that, Neil? Rubbish or not? Yeah, but either way, for me, I would want to see a bit more work done before I even think about buying this. Okay, we'll probably call it a day there. It's just over an hour. I'll start babbling a bit too much. So I hope that helped, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks very much for joining us again. We'll be back in on Thursday at 12:30. So any questions you may have, just shoot it into chat if you're watching, or just for the people who watch this later on, if you just recap it and you can't actually join us on the stream during the days, just send us through a chart if there's something you're desperate to look at or you just want to talk about. Feel free to send us an email to support@tradesetup.com.au, and then we'll go through it in the next stream. But if not, that's fine. Yeah, no worries. Good work, Neil. So, we're back in on Thursday. Thanks for joining us, guys. Oh, just one last thing on what you will see. We've got a meetup group that we're going to do a presentation to, and that'll be on the 9th. So, what's that, Tuesday week at around 7 p.m. But you'll get alerted to that. So, it's more, we'll be talking about a lot about sort of what we're talking about, but a bit more in depth, a bit more psychology behind what we look for. Bit more reasoning behind what we look for. Davin will be in, so it'll be Davin and myself doing a presentation. Like I said, the 9th at 7 p.m. So if you can make that, that's a Tuesday. That'll be great, but you'll get alerted to that through the app. And it'll also, obviously, you can just join us straight into YouTube channel. That'll be a live stream, like I said, presentation to that meetup group. So there could be a few more in for that. It could be quite a lot more in. So we've got a bit of, found a bit of interest there. Anyway, thanks very much for joining us, guys, and we will speak to you again on Tuesday. Cheers, bye.